history of sports right now is going on with the WNBA and their referees. They suck. Sophie Cunningham is now calling it out.
It was just part of the game. I think the refs had a lot to do with that, not protecting, the star player of the WNBA. And so at the end of the day, I'm going to protect my teammates. That's what I do.
That is a byproduct of the referees not having done their jobs.
Protecting the star player of the WNBA.
She's not wrong. She's right about it. It's been a buildup of all the years.
She's the most talked about athlete in the WNBA, but the league's own referees won't protect her.
Caitlin Clark is the star player of the WNBA.
After another brutal hit on Caitlin Clark, Sophie Cunningham had enough. She went viral, stepped in as the enforcer.
Sophie Cunningham became the protector of Caitlin Clark.
And now she's calling out the refs for years of failure.
Sophie Cunningham stays standing on business.
You're not going to take down my teammate, who happens to be the star of the WNBA.
Can't keep my hands to myself. I mean, I could, but why would I want to?
Some say she crossed a line. Others say she did what the league refused to do. If you stand with Caitlin, drop a CC 100% in the comments, because this just got serious.
The most popular woman ever in the WNBA, Caitlin Clark.
No comparison to Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark is the most watched basketball player in world basketball right now. There's nobody that does what Caitlin Clark does.
How special and rare Caitlin Clark is.
Caitlin Clark is a gifted player.
Caitlin is the one.
She's the biggest basketball star in the world.
Sophie Cunningham didn't just make a statement. She made a moment. During a heated game against the Connecticut Sun, tensions exploded after Caitlin Clark was poked in the eye by J.C. Sheldon. But what followed wasn't just a foul, it became a national headline.
Cunningham became a viral sensation over the last week after committing a hard foul on Suns guard J.C. Sheldon, who poked Clark in the eye earlier in the game. A brawl between the teams ensued, with Cunningham at the center of it.
With 40 seconds left in the game, Sophie Cunningham charged in, committed a hard foul on Sheldon, and chaos erupted. 3 players were ejected. But what went viral wasn't just the scuffle, it was the message behind it. Sophie wasn't backing down. She wasn't going to sit on the bench while the league's biggest star, her teammate Caitlin Clark, got repeatedly targeted game after game.
Sophie Cunningham has come out and called it out, and of course, where Cunningham fully embraced her enforcer role for this team.
In the post-game media scrum, Sophie didn't dodge. She leaned in. It was just part of the game, she said, but the refs had a lot to do with that. It's been a buildup for a couple years now of them not protecting the star player of the WNBA.
It was a buildup for a couple of years now of them just not protecting, the star player of the WNBA.
And she didn't say a star. She said the star.
She didn't say stars in the WNBA. She said the star of the WNBA. She completely and fully gets it.
That wasn't just a soundbite. It was a direct shot at the WNBA's leadership and officiating crews.
During that, it was just part of the game. I think the refs had a lot to do with that. It was a buildup for a couple of years now of them just not protecting, the star player of the WNBA. And so at the end of the day, I'm going to protect my teammates. That's what I do. And I'm a team player, so.
For failing to protect their most marketable player. This wasn't the first time Caitlin had been hit, shoved, or undercut with no consequence. But it was the first time someone on the court responded with force and made it clear they were done waiting for the refs to do their job. Cunningham didn't just defend her teammate. She called out the league on national record, exposing what fans and media have been screaming for weeks. Caitlin Clark is being hunted, and the officials are letting it happen. What happened next was telling.
If Sophie Cunningham didn't do what she did, that is the blueprint to beat the fever. If she did not do what she did, the blueprint to beat the fever would be, you can rough up Caitlin Clark.
Sophie's jersey became the top-selling jersey in the WNBA, surpassing even Caitlin's.
Her jersey is the #1 selling jersey in the WNBA. Sold out. Her jersey surpassed the all-time woman, Caitlin Clark, because Sophie Cunningham stood up for Caitlin Clark.
Why? Because fans finally saw someone stand up. They saw a teammate willing to risk suspension, fines, ejection, because protecting Clark was more important than playing nice.
You're not going to take down my teammate, who happens to be the star of the WNBA.
It wasn't about violence. It was about respect. Sophie Cunningham went from Instagram fashion posts to instant icon status. Not for a dunk, not for a buzzer beater, but for defending the face of the league when no one else would. And if the league won't hear Sophie's words, maybe they'll feel the impact of her actions. Because when one player has to risk it all just to send a message, something's deeply broken. And that's exactly what Sophie made crystal clear. For weeks, fans have watched it unfold. Game after game, hit after hit, and still no whistles, no flagrant calls, no action.
Seeing how things are done, and after you've seen what it looks like to get it right, and you come in and see something looking really wrong, you're going to call it out.
What started as physical play has spiraled into something far more dangerous, a pattern of negligence from WNBA officials. And Sophie Cunningham's viral takedown wasn't random. It was the boiling point of a much bigger issue the league has been trying to ignore. The referees are failing, and Caitlin Clark is paying the price.
WNBA and their referees, they suck. And they also will not come down on these players for trying to take out the league's greatest asset.
The outcry didn't start with Sophie. It started with the silence. Clark has been hip-checked, elbowed, shoved, and poked in the eye. She's been leveled by players like Kennedy Carter and Marina Mabrey, and yet the refs continue to treat her like just another rookie. In one case, Caitlin was knocked to the floor and given the same penalty as the player who hit her. It wasn't until after the game that the foul on Mabrey was upgraded to a flagrant 2. By then, the damage was done. The message was loud and clear. Caitlin Clark would have to defend herself because the refs wouldn't. Even analysts and coaches are beginning to speak out. Fever head coach Stephanie White has called out the officiating publicly.
How is she doing? Is there any timeline for her return?
Yeah, she's doing well. She's doing well. Again, no timeline. I think it's day to day, and for us to just make sure that we're continuing to be supportive of DB.
So has Rebecca Lobo. And now Sophie Cunningham, in a post-game interview, put it plainly. This is a buildup of years of refs not protecting the star player of the WNBA. And she's right. This isn't just about Caitlin. It's about what happens when a league fails to adjust to its own moment. The WNBA has never had this much visibility. Every game Clark plays is on national television. Arenas are sold out. Jersey sales are breaking records.
WNBA rumors suggest Caitlin Clark will be among the first stars making $1 million annually. The most notable of which is, y'all already know who, the needle mover, Caitlin Clark.
So in 2024, she averaged 16.5 points per game, 4 assists, 5.5 rebounds. She shot 37% from the field and 31.8% from 3. Now, if you look at her preseason in 2025, she only played 2 games in this preseason, and one was against that Brazilian national team. She played 21 minutes. She averaged 14.5 points, 6 assists, 6 rebounds. She shot 52.5% from the field and 50% from 3-point range.
But the officiating hasn't changed. In fact, it's regressed. What we're watching isn't just physical play, it's poor management. The refs are letting games spiral out of control, and in their silence, they're setting the tone for how players are allowed to treat Caitlin Clark.
Everybody knows that you can punk the Indiana Fever. Everybody knows that if you get physical and you rough up Caitlin Clark, the referees aren't going to do anything.
Let's be honest. Part of this is jealousy. Clark's rise has been meteoric, and not everyone is happy about it. Players who've spent years in the league are suddenly being overshadowed by a rookie who's generating more ticket sales than anyone before her. And in that tension, refs are refusing to act. They're allowing plays to escalate. They're missing calls that could prevent injury, and they're pretending like this is normal. But it's not. The problem is systemic. Early game fouls go unnoticed. Then when things finally erupt, it's too late. Ejections happen after damage is done. Physicality becomes weaponized. And when refs do review calls, it takes too long, and they still get it wrong. That's not just incompetence. That's a threat to player safety.
Oh, you know what? I'm just going to be me. I don't go in there trying to predetermine anything. I'm dialed in. I need to focus on hitting my shots, making sure I'm executing the schemes right. I'm not focused on the extracurricular activities. And you know what? During that, it was just part of the game. I think the refs had a lot to do with that. It was a build-up for a couple of years now of them just not protecting, the star player of the WNBA. And so at the end of the day, I'm going to protect my teammates. That's what I do. And I'm a team player, so it's all good.
Cunningham's message wasn't subtle. If the refs had done their job, that fight never would have happened. That's a direct indictment, and it should terrify the league. Because this is about more than one game. If Caitlin Clark, the player drawing the most fans, getting the most votes, and selling the most jerseys, can't be protected, what message does that send? That aggression is acceptable? That targeting her is strategy? That the league is okay with risking its most valuable asset? And it's not just Sophie sounding the alarm. Players like Courtney Williams, commentators across media, and even rival coaches have acknowledged the imbalance. The officiating isn't just bad.
But in a league where the referees let the game get completely out of hand, every game. Like, it's not a one-off. Every game, every close game gets out of hand.
It's compromising the integrity of the game. And what Sophie did, whether you agree with her methods or not, brought that into the spotlight in a way no technical foul ever could. When a player has to become the enforcer because the referees won't, that's not sports. That's survival. So if the league wants to protect its future, it has to fix this now. Because the more they ignore it, the more players will take matters into their own hands. And eventually, someone's going to get seriously hurt. The question is, will it take a tragedy before anyone in the league office listens?
Wasn't it like, how many people? There was a lot of people from Indiana on there.
Hell yeah, it was like their whole starting five was in the top. Their whole starting five was on that list. Their whole starting five. Even folks that came off their bench was on that list, bro. No cap. That's crazy, bro. But that really show you the influence that like Caitlin Clark got.
No, that is, bro. People,
her influence is insane.
People
bro.
try to say that like, what?
Like,
man,
come on,
I'm stuttering. Like, come on, G. Like, let's just state the fact.
Like, it's folks coming off of,
like,
come on, bro. You got folks coming off of her bench, like off of their bench that's in that top 40, bro. Like, her influence is crazy. Like, you can't even hate on it because it's like,
you got motion.
You got like real deal motion.
You got motion, bro.
Real deal motion, bro. She got real deal motion.
Caitlin Clark isn't just a basketball player. She's the engine powering the entire WNBA right now. The surge in ratings, the sold-out arenas, the viral clips on every social platform, the top-selling jerseys, that's her.
Caitlin Clark is the star player of the WNBA, and Sophie Cunningham is not going to pretend that she's not.
She's not just changing the game, she's carrying it. And yet the league still treats her like she's just another rookie. That contradiction isn't just confusing, it's dangerous. Let's look at the numbers. Clark is leading All-Star voting by a historic margin.
It's certainly going to set some sort of record for amount of votes casted compared to last year, if I'm not mistaken. I feel like we're on track for that, which just shows how much engagement we're driving across the league for all different sorts of players and teams. And, that's exactly what the league needs, is people excited about that type of stuff and wanting to be involved and feeling like, their vote really counts and feeling like they can make an impact on the All-Star game. So it's really exciting to see. And hopefully as we continue to go here year to year to year, it just continues to grow.
Not just a little. She's blowing the rest of the league out of the water. 4 Fever players are in the top 10, and some of them barely get minutes. Why? Because fans aren't just voting for the Fever, they're voting for anyone associated with Clark. That's how powerful her presence is. She brings attention not only to herself, but to her teammates, her opponents, even the referees who fail to call fouls on her. You can't manufacture that kind of influence. You can't fake the fact that Clark's presence is elevating the profile of every game she plays. Her games get primetime slots. She sells out-away arenas. Kids are wearing her jersey in the stands, and grown men are waiting in line for her autograph. Even players from rival teams have admitted it. Clark's influence is real, and it's unlike anything the league has seen before. But here's the paradox. While Clark is driving growth, she's also drawing resentment. Players who've been grinding in the league for years suddenly have to answer questions about Caitlin Clark. Some don't like it, and instead of rising to the moment, many have responded by trying to humble her physically, knock her down, send a message.
She posted this on social media right here.
Can't keep my hands to myself. I mean, I could, but why would I want to?
I mean, that's funny. That's funny. She put in the caption, "It's a joke."
That's the ugly truth behind some of these hard fouls. They're not just defense, they're statements. And the referees, by refusing to set a standard, are letting it happen. The result? Clark is playing every game with a target on her back. Not because she's dirty, not because she's trash talking, but because she's too good and too popular. And in a league where some veterans are still bitter about her spotlight, and where the refs don't want to seem like they're giving her special treatment, the safest path becomes the most dangerous one: doing nothing. But this isn't just about bruises or stats. This is about legacy. Clark isn't here to be a flash in the pan. She's not a gimmick. She's a generational talent with a decade or more to give to the game. If she gets injured because of a cheap shot the refs let slide, the consequences won't just be personal. They'll be financial, reputational, and structural for the WNBA. She is the league's headline, the face.
That's nice.
And she was shooting the shit out of it.
Of course she was.
Right, so she was shooting the shit out of it. And
she's the face of the league.
Agreed.
She's the face of the league. Agreed.
Just have nothing but great things to say about who she is as a person. Just so welcoming and so warm as an individual that she can have a conversation with anybody. She's cut from the same cloth as me in that regard. You know what? Us Midwesterners, we tend to just, accept everybody with open arms. She was so kind to my family and everyone in the suite when she came to KC. So huge fans of Caitlin Clark.
The momentum. And protecting her isn't favoritism. It's smart business. And yet some people are still blind to this. Some fans blame her for the attention. Some players act like she hasn't earned it. And worst of all, league leadership is treating her like she's just part of the machine instead of the one cranking it. That's why what Sophie Cunningham did matters so much. She wasn't just standing up for a teammate. She was sounding an alarm that the league refused to ring. Even opposing players like Courtney Williams have acknowledged Clark's impact. On her Twitch show, she laughed about how even Fever bench players were getting all-star votes just because of Caitlin's reach. She said it herself. Her influence is insane, real deal motion. That's not hate. That's recognition. And yet others in the league still act like the solution is to rough her up until she learns her place.
I don't even lean into the negative. So I literally just block people. Like, I promise you, like, if it seemed mixy to me, I press the block button. Like, I have people be like, why you block? I don't know. You said something that rubbed me wrong. But I always lean into the positive side of the internet and the fans. Like, none of that bothers me, bro, because it's not real. You don't know.
But here's the truth. Clark already knows her place. It's at the center of a movement. It's as the face of a league trying to finally break into the mainstream. She isn't asking for protection because she's weak. She's demanding it because the league can't afford to lose her. The WNBA is at a crossroads. They can either build around their biggest star or break her under the weight of their silence.
Caitlin Clark effect seems to be crazier than year one.
I love watching her score and just everything about her.
They went the extra mile just to watch her play here.
This is great news for women's basketball, period.
Caitlin Clark is the GOAT. She signed my jersey. So happy, I'm crying. I'm so happy. This is the best day ever.
Sophie Cunningham chose her side, and fans are starting to do the same. That's why hashtag CC100% is trending. That's why Sophie's jersey is sold out. That's why every arena is filled with signs that say, "Protect Caitlin." Because this isn't just about one rookie. It's about a league finally having a chance to matter, and what it will do with that chance. Will they defend it, or will they let it fall? The WNBA wanted attention. Now they've got it. But what they do next will define the future of the league. Caitlin Clark has become the face of a movement. But without protection, even the brightest star can burn out.
Until somebody sends a message by standing up to them, holding their ground, happens over and over and over.
Sophie Cunningham saw that risk and made a choice to stand up, speak out, and take action when no one else would. And fans, we saw it, we felt it, we backed it. Because this isn't just about basketball, it's about fairness, respect, and protecting the one player who's putting the league on the map.
That's nice.
And she was shooting the shit out of it.
Of course she was.
Right. So she was shooting the shit out of it. And
she's the face of the league.
Agreed.
She's the face of the league. Agreed.
Just have nothing but great things to say about who she is as a person. She's so welcoming and so warm as an individual that she can have a conversation with anybody. She's cut from the same cloth as me in that regard. You know what? Us Midwesterners, we tend to just, accept everybody with open arms. She was so kind to my family and everyone in the suite when she came to KC. So huge fans of Caitlin Clark.
Caitlin Clark effect seems to be crazier than year one.
I love watching her score and just everything about her.
They went the extra mile just to watch her play here.
This is great news for women's basketball, period.
Caitlin Clark is the GOAT.
She signed my jersey. So happy, I'm crying. I'm so happy. This is the best day ever.
If the WNBA can't see that, maybe it's time they hear it louder. From Sophie, from fans, from all of us. So again, if you stand with Caitlin, drop a CC 100% in the comments, because this fight is far from over.